Oh man, we are back. I've been waiting a
What is
long time to be able to say that.
it's been too long. Of course, it feels like it has been too long.
Uh,
Welcome back, people of the world. My goodness. Uh, it feels majorly fantastic, incredibly fantastic to be sitting here. And it's one of those things, man, like it's like going to the gym, really been trying to do the things that make me happy in a positive and functional way. Going to the gym, waking up, journaling, praying, getting with God, and doing all that stuff that just gets the dope rush, right? The good feelings going, the good flowing, get that dopamine going.
yeah.
And with all of the distractions that have been going on, and we've been trying to get on here, it's just like, man, I have to get on here so I can release because the warfare has been real. What is good, my brother? I've been, it has been a long time. We are back and coming back with a vengeance too, stronger than ever. What's good?
Yeah, man, feeling good. It was almost having everything going, having this time away from it, and having all these things happen and stuff that life just continues to happen, right? And you're reminded. We've said this before. You're reminded of why this podcast is so important, why it means so much to us to be able to not just have this, but to keep it going, and not just for ourselves, but for everybody else. Because man, it feels too good to be able to release, to come on here and release those things that we have building up, because we know what it was like to go so long without doing that. And
Yeah.
once that started, it's almost like an addiction. Like, you can't help but naturally just want to continue to do that. So I found myself having, like, I couldn't help it, man, just immediately jumping into deep conversations with anybody I was talking to, because I needed to just
Yes.
release or hear somebody out, or really deep dive into it, really overanalyze shit, and just just talk about it. I needed to
First.
talk and get going about stuff. So
Yeah,
I
man.
could hear it with some people
It's
talking
a,
to
it's
them.
a,
They weren't ready for
yeah,
that.
it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy that you say that because it's almost like the podcast is in our blood now. It's like any conversation that we're having with somebody is an opportunity to connect. You know what
Right,
I'm saying? An opportunity to learn and to grow and to reflect and gain a perspective, relate.
right.
Man, and it's incredible. And I'm gonna go off with what I'm thinking about right now. Initially becoming a personal trainer and training older people, it wasn't my path. It wasn't something that I thought that I saw myself doing. But God has a path and for everyone, right? And everything works the way that it does. And having these older people has allowed me to gain so much perspective on life. And one of my clients in particular, his name is Michael Himoff. A shout out to Michael.
Shout out to Michael.
I'm gonna send him this link. And he's 76, and he's gone through some conditions. He's had some health issues, and he's a very successful businessman as well. But then, like, him being able to reflect on life itself and his endeavors and his path and his journey to where he's at now, it's allowed me, like I said, to gain so much perspective on life. Trying to trace the dream, and I basically learned that we've talked about this before, but just it's just a fresh reminder of not chasing money, not trying to chase success, but just trying to build on a daily basis and enjoying that journey in the process. He's like, if I could go back and do it again, I wouldn't be as stressed. I
Right.
would have, put more focus on time. And this is all per new perspective for him, having new health issues. Like, he had a heart scare a month ago or whatever, and it really, like, opened his eyes as far as how stressed he used to be, before having these health scares, and just giving me insight on how to approach life as we're continuing on this journey of self-development, of trying to provide and build empires for ourselves and our families. And it's not easy to live in the moment. It's not easy to enjoy
Right.
the journey. But again, because that's something that I'm still trying to to build habits on, to really, it's a skill that needs to be learned. You know,
Right.
those experiences that the opportunity to learn is just going through the experiences and being aware of those experiences, and that's the only way that you can really get better, is going through those experiences and being like, okay, well, this is a moment that I can, I can chill off of, or this is a moment that, it's out of my control, so I'm just going to give it to God. This is a moment to where, I'm just going to sit here and reflect. Man, we find ourselves so stuck into that process, like we've talked about before, the distractions of life. And, it can get discouraging, it can get overwhelming, it can get frustrating. And it throws us off. Yeah. Man, I'm not sure if we've talked about, I know obviously we've talked in between here and there about that kind of energy. But even more so now, that to piggyback what you're saying about, depression, I think that depression is even more prominent and even more undetectable than it has been in the past. And we talked about that, the signs. Yeah. And maybe we talked about signs as far as like, well, the signs aren't there. It was like, well, maybe they were there, but we're so distracted in life that we don't see them. Give or take, regardless of what the answer is. Like, we need to wake up and be a little bit more aware of what's going on around us, man, because people are offing themselves, and suicide is starting to, the rate is starting to increase. And the fact that no one is knowing or seeing any signs is scary. It's a scary thought. And I've been experiencing that. I've been hearing about stuff. I've been dealing with a lot of death these past few months, and just providing a lot more perspective for myself. And this little hiatus has allowed me to grow, and like everything circled back, like it didn't fall off. It was a buildup until now. Right now, just like, man, of how important it is for people to get things off their chest and to not hold it on. We talk about the berry thing, the revealing is healing. And I can't think of another way, a stronger way, like, to get that message across. Like, those that are listening, it's like, man, you cannot keep that stuff in. You can't.
I was just having this conversation with my nephew, actually. Shout out to Darvin. Having this conversation, talking about
Darvin.
Yeah, yes, sir. And talking about the importance of opening up and releasing, and talking about the things that we have going on. Again, not just, and we can continue talking about how that benefits yourself when you open up and release, but also how it helps those that are around you. A lot of people, they feel like that by not opening up, it's not putting what they have going on, it's not affecting everyone else around them, right? If I don't tell you what I have, then you don't have to carry that. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to stress about it. But if the way that you're acting is different because you have something going on, that's negatively affecting those around you. They're not getting the best version of you. They're not getting the best of you in any type of situation. And we talked about that with when we were talking about the car ride I had, and the lady got all bent out of shape at me and was flipping me off, and I didn't take it. I knew that she had something else going on, so I let it go, and I was in a good mood knowing that I handled that situation better than I used to. And I went home, and the kids were playing, and they were having a good time and stuff. And as soon as I walked in the door, it was like a, hey, hey, Dada, come and look at what we're doing type of thing. But if I had gotten home in a bad mood, they would have saw that. They would have felt that energy, and they wouldn't have invited me over to come play with them and see what they had going on. It would have been a completely different experience, right? So, not opening up, talking about things, not being aware of how you're affecting other people by carrying these things and not releasing it, not addressing it, not unpacking a lot of these overly packed bags that we have, this baggage that we carry every day that's weighing us down. And again, not being able to put our best foot forward with others, that has a negative effect, and it builds up over time. And then people start getting used to not having those good positive experiences with you. They get used to not inviting you over and talking to you about things, not sharing and releasing with you because you don't handle it well. But look how you respond to things like that. So they're not going to feel safe and comfortable doing that type of stuff. So again,
absolutely,
it's not just important for yourself, but it's important for others. And again, to piggyback off of that even further, I'm going on a tangent, it also, especially as a parent, you're showing your kids how to handle things.
Yep.
What's okay, what's not okay. When you have feelings built up or you have some stress going on, you don't talk about it. You know, you don't share that with other people, type of thing. They can't handle that. That's your own problem, type of thing. And it's like,
Right.
man, no, you got to show communication is the key, no matter what the situation is. Let somebody
sir.
know I have something going on. Because if you walk in with an attitude, for example, say you're in a bad mood, and somebody asks you, "Hey, is everything okay?" You say, "I'm fine," and you say it like that, right? You say it with an attitude, like,
Right,
"I'm fine,
tone.
nothing's wrong," and I'm like, "Okay." And then
Right.
now people don't know how to deal with you. Do I need to tiptoe around you? I can't.
Yeah.
Can I talk to you? Like what's
awkward.
What's the situation? Clearly, there's something wrong. Is it me? You don't want to talk to me about what's going on? Like it makes somebody question. And if you just let somebody know, I woke up not feeling good. I woke up in a mood. Like, sorry. Even if that's the situation. Or something happened at work. Like, it's just frustrating. Or, I was in the car driving and somebody was a jerk to me and, it just put me.
Yes.
Just communicate that a little bit. It shows so much.
Man, I got a few things to
I went off right
touch
there.
on with that. No, it's okay, man. I want to touch base on relationships and, just as far as communication. We've talked about this before, but it's not going to hurt to touch base back on that, especially with, it's a new day. It's a new time. As far as relationships and communication, though, we're not built to be the same. We go through life, going through experiences, different traumatic and good, and within those experiences, we build memories. And through those memories, there's an emotional attachment to it, right? Good or bad. And those experiences change the way that we think about things, change the way that we feel about things. And in that fact alone, we become different people. Yeah. So it's important, especially in relationships, that we continue to communicate with each other because we're not the same. And this is where, relationships and people start falling apart or drifting apart because it's crazy. And this is a kind of a tangent, but it applies, talking to my client. He's been married. He's on his second marriage, but he's been married for 25 years. And he talks about how some of his, his fellow colleagues, talk about their wives, in a negative way. And
Yep.
I wonder why that is, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure they wouldn't feel that way about their wife when they first got married, right? So those type of things change, people change, and it's important to communicate those feelings so we can understand where we're at that given moment. And it's crazy, and you can take it from me, and this is through my experience, everything I talk about is through experience. There's no bond that can be broken. There's no bond that there's cap. There's no cap on a bond that you can make. I'm botching that, but you can always grow your bond. The bond can always be grown with a relationship. There's no cap. There's no ceiling. There's always growth that can be made.
Right.
And I've been able to achieve that with my wife after 14 years of marriage this July.
Right.
And just continuing to go through those things that we're dealing with because, life, it's inevitable. We're going to hit those obstacles, and those obstacles are going to make us feel some type of way and in some type of negative fashion. And if we're not able to express those feelings, we're never going to have that understanding. It was just like you said, communicate that. Let me know that you're having a bad day, or whatever the case is. And that literally just happened to Amanda the other day. With our good friend, family friend out here. And, life has been so busy, we haven't been able to hang out as much. And I was just like, she's like, man, I want to hang out, but we can't, we got stuff to do. But she didn't want to communicate that at first, but I'm like, just tell her, just tell her what's going on and how things are going or whatever. And she did. And everything was that much better. There was understanding on her side,
Right.
And it was just like, oh yeah. And at first she's feeling like a bad friend because she's not hanging out as much as she wanted. But that's not the case, right? It's just about being able to communicate with those people, and it's a learned skill.
100%. And it's not easy. It's not always easy, especially getting started. You know what I mean? If
Exactly.
it's
It's
not a
like
relationship that you're used to keeping in touch in that way and having that type of communication with, it's hard to get started. But man, does it feel good? Once you
Man,
do
does it
it,
feel good?
it relieves the stress and the anxiety from assuming how something is, assuming what the situation is or how somebody else is feeling. You flat out tell them that takes away the guesswork for them.
Yes.
And then they have that understanding. It humanizes you a little bit to the other person and allows them to realize that you do have thoughts and feelings about a situation. You're not just cold and blowing it off, or whatever the situation is, right? Whatever, fill in the blank that you're having a communication over. But again, a lot of times if you don't have that communication, the other person is assuming that you just don't care.
Yeah.
That you just don't care about whatever it is, and that's
nobody's
not okay.
a mind reader. Nobody's a mind reader.
Exactly.
Especially like going back to the depression that people are experiencing now, and the surface level mask is going undetectable as to how people are actually feeling. And leading into what I wanted to talk about next, we're back. People of the world, we're back. Mental warfare and the release valve, it's a thing. They go hand in hand. And this is a platform like we talked about before to be able to, get on here and release. And if we're not ready or comfortable to do that, hit us in the DM. Give us a topic that you want to address. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we can be that bridge to connect you with somebody else that are going through those similar things, right? Give us some feedback. What do you want us to talk about? It could be anything, right? Just having some type of relatability, or somebody even talking about your situation can provide some type of relief. It shows that there's somebody out there in the world that cares, and we do.
Right.
We are advocates for mental health. Knowing that mental health is the factor in all of what we do. Success
Everything.
or not, depression, everything. You know what I'm saying? It starts with our mental, and if that's not right, then everything else is wrong. And so
Exactly.
we got to take care of what we got to take care of first. And, taking that initial step, getting that fear out of there, it takes courage. It's not easy to talk about your feelings. We have that fear of embarrassment, judgment, feeling like people are giving us a bad opinion or just going to have something bad to say. And we don't got time for that. Right. Nobody does.
No.
Nobody has time for people to harp on the insecurities and negative emotions that we're feeling about ourselves, and that's essentially what we do.
But yeah, that's it, man. Nobody looks at you the way that you look at yourself, right?
Exactly.
Nobody spends an extended amount of time, and if they do, then that is a clear case of they have bigger issues in their life.
Exactly, a reflection.
You know what I mean? Exactly. I always say it, man. If you're so quick to be able to hold a mirror around and face it towards somebody else, I know you're not spending enough time turning it and facing it and looking at yourself in the mirror, right? Because you wouldn't be turning a mirror around to look at somebody else if you knew that, because it's not easy to look in the mirror and face what you see in there and be honest with what you see in there. That's a big thing too. People not being honest with what they see in the mirror.
Man, that just gave me
coming
chills.
Up with their own little facade, so that way they can continue to keep going because they can't deal with what they have going on inside. I did that too. I did that to myself for a long time too. I had an image to uphold because I felt like people looked at me a certain way. So yeah. I had to make sure that I lived up to whatever that image was that I saw other people seeing me in, whatever that light was. And it was almost never the case. Going back and talking to different people, because I've changed so much as a person, people will tell me, people from my childhood and stuff like that will tell me, certain things, how different I was, how angry I used to be and stuff like that. And it's wild to hear somebody almost like it's talking about a different person. But man, I used to handle things just like that, being in complete denial about the things that I had going on, never looking in the mirror and being honest with what I saw there, always trying to justify certain things or make other things up in my head to make it out to something that it wasn't. You know what I mean? I was always trying to be something that I wasn't, not being true to myself. And that had over time, that had negative effects with relationships with a lot of people.
Yeah, so the outcome was still the same, even though it was a different situation.
Sooner or later, the outcome was the same with just about everybody in my life, And if I didn't have that outcome with those people, it's because we were kept at a certain distance and you didn't get to see or feel that side of me to that degree. You know what I mean? Some people grandfathered in. I've just known them for way too long, and if I wasn't acting right, they knew and wouldn't have a problem kind of slapping me on the side of the head or whatever. Kind of metaphorically, letting me know that I was being an idiot type of thing, and still being there for me and seeing it through. But a lot of people, a lot of relationships fell off because nobody's trying to deal with that bullshit, man. If you're not going to be real, why am I gonna deal with what you bring to the table, man? It's not real. So why would I deal with it?
Man, that's huge, and I think that's important for all of us and all the people out there that are seeking to be better or that want better for their lives. I absolutely think that is the number one factor, the first step into healing is that self-reflection, taking accountability of what's going on around you and how things. Just a little bit of being a little analytic of yourself and how the kind of energy that you're putting out into the world, how you're responding to things. Are you taking responsibility for your actions? Are you taking accountability, or are you denying that and pointing the finger and blaming everybody else? Because that's first and foremost. If you can't take accountability for yourself and you're blaming everyone else when you're the one that's making those decisions for you, you're never going to get better. You're never going to get better, and life is going to continue to be toxic for you. This life is a journey of self-development. God put us on this earth to be progressively producing creatures. That I have that stuck in my mind, bro. I love it. It is what we're made for. And he talks about how God made the creatures, and the creatures are what they are, and because man is man in the reflection of God, we were built here. We are created to create. And the enemy is out there sabotaging all of that, and I believe that we are all a unit. We're all a member. You know what I'm saying? We all have something that we have to give to this world. And we aren't to obtain that, though, if we can't start with bettering ourselves. And that's what it starts with, just self-development. And that's the concept that I'm on as far as success, right? Success at the highest level, but how to obtain that, though, how to approach that. It's not by chasing the money for me anymore. You know what I mean? It's me just simply trying to get better on a daily basis, trying to upgrade that software, right? We're all a computer. Apple comes out with something on a new update software every other month, right? And so that's something that we need to be on too. We need to be trying to upgrade our software, upgrade our brains and our mental, trying to diffuse all of that and negative energy that we had inside of us and all the negative energy that we receive as we go out into the world. Like I said, we're progressively producing creatures, and so we're built to grow. We were built to evolve. We were built to get better, right? And if we're not trying to get better, we're just getting worse. And that's a Coach Fisher quote right there. He said, "If you're not getting better, you're getting..." Yes, Coach Fisher. He's like, if you're not getting better, then you're getting worse. You never stay the same, though.
Yeah.
So
and again, that coincides with talking about with a partner and having that communication with them, because they're changing too. And and if they're not, then you know what I'm saying, like that's a telling sign too about the relationship. So again, having that communication and talking about those changes that you go through, that as you're upgrading your software, as you're doing these type of things. I mean, man, how lame would it be to be in a relationship with somebody that all of a sudden they're making some major moves in life and they didn't tell you anything about it, and you're just sitting there like, what the hell? You going on vacations and you got a gym membership and you got a new job? Like, you're not going to say anything to me? Like, all these things are happening? Like, no, you got to have this communication. You're bettering yourself. Especially if you're in a relationship, you want that person to come along with you. You want them to better themselves too and help you along the way in the same way, and that's huge, man. And again, bringing it back to what you said about this podcast is, we see these type of things going on and we're experiencing them, and we know the importance of it, and we know that others would benefit from it as well. So that's why the drive and the motivation and just the passion that we have behind it is so strong.
It is.
Because we know the benefits of it, and being able to just talk about the things that we have going on, and not even just the negative things. We've talked about this before too. Not even just the stresses that we have and those type of releases, but
the wins.
Having the wins too, and being able, like, again, what if you were just out there killing it and you didn't even feel comfortable going home and talking about it with your family or whatever? Like, oh, they're not going to receive that well. They're, as a child, say you aced a test or you hit a home run at a game and you go home and nobody cares. You know what I mean?
Isn't that crazy though? Think about that. Think about the setup and the way that we're built. I was thinking about that the other day, and this is why I love being on here. But think about that. Think about why we have the need to share our accomplishments with somebody, right? We're all built on love. You know what I'm saying? It's like we all want to. Why is it that we don't want to die alone? You know what I'm saying? Like, right. We're built to share. We're built to connect. You know what I'm saying? We're built to have that relatability. We want to share our successes with those that we love. And without that, it's nothing. It means nothing.
Right.
It really means nothing.
Right.
And it's great. Like you said, it's important. And it's an indication of getting that love that shown back, a reflection of that. It's like, I did well. Like, is anybody proud of me? Like, does anyone care about that? Right?
Exactly.
It's that internal feeling of like the necessity, the feeling of needing that confirmation that, okay, yeah, well, if I tell this person, they're going to care about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's that love there, and we're all built on that. And if we don't have it, there is that subconscious feeling of discouragement, because that's just naturally in our DNA and how we're built.
Exactly.
And so it's those things that are kind of crazy to think about it. It's like it messes with our mental. You know, if we don't feel like we're cared about, then we don't feel like we have any purpose, right?
Right.
And that's where the depression comes in. And becoming more aware as we've started this thing of things that are going on in this world, we live in such a surface level society. Like, we go out to work and everything is so surface, and we're so much more intricate. We're so detailed. Like, we're so complex that it takes a lot more than a hi, how you doing, to understand what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Right.
And that's why we have to dig deeper. That's why we need this platform. That's why we need more connecting. That's why we need more revealing. We need more truth. We need more stories. We need people to use their mouths to be more vocal. That's what we were built for. We have that. We have our mouths to speak. Like, we have a voice. Like, and everyone needs to be heard. We can learn from everyone. But it's about getting everyone. Obviously, we're not going to reach everyone, but it's about getting people on that page, though, allowing them to get comfortable enough to share their story, to feel confident enough to share their story, to feel confident enough that their story means something, to feel confident enough that their story is going to impact somebody else. And that's really what this life is about, you know, helping each other out to excel.
Right. And also helping each other, helping others understand you. Like I said, taking the question and the wonder of what's going on, you open up and you talk about things, about certain experiences. Maybe that gives somebody else a better understanding of what you have going on, and they look at you a little different. Like, oh, I thought that you were this or that. Like, yeah, I didn't realize that you had that going on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, again, it's just on so many different levels, so many different reasons. It's just so important to be able to open up and talk about these things, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of others too. It's just so important, man. Whether it's about the positives or the negatives, you know, you need that. And if you don't have it, you don't realize that you need it. And that's the hard part. It's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to try to sell somebody something that they don't realize that they need, type of thing.
Exactly.
And it's like, hey, I'm getting by without that. Like, I don't need that type of thing. It's like, man, but you don't realize how much better you would be getting. You wouldn't be getting by. You would be ahead. You would be killing it. You'd be, you know what I mean? You just feel so much better.
Absolutely. And I used to be one of those dudes, being a psychology major. You know, us being in the way that we think about things. I'm like, oh man, I don't need therapy. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that therapists need therapy too, and that's kind of like where I was going with it. But everyone needs therapy. Everyone.
In some way, shape, or form, right? It may not be the same for everybody. You may not need that, be in the psychiatrist's office, sitting on the couch, laying there. When I was 8 years old, I had, it doesn't always have to be like that.
Exactly.
It could just be, any kind of form of therapy.
Just someone there to listen. It's just getting it out.
Exactly.
Having somebody to talk to, regardless of what that therapist. This is for my being. Regardless of what the therapist or psychologist is going through. Taking it and approaching it as an opportunity to get what you need to get out,
right.
It's just it's just that important. It's just that important. It's hard too because you want that feedback as well. But this is why connecting with somebody else who's going through it is even more powerful because now we don't feel alone in the world. Right. Now we feel
and again,
like this.
To gain others' perspectives as well, because just because you're you doesn't mean you're thinking clearly. Doesn't mean you have the right mindset towards something. Sometimes if you say something to somebody else and they respond from a different perspective, it kind of makes you question or see it from a different side. Oh, I didn't look at it that way before. And it can help you change your mind on something and gain new perspective, new understanding of yourself or of someone else or of a situation or whatever. But if you're just sitting there and having your own internal dialogue the entire time, I mean, come on now, nobody's batting 1,000. No. Nobody is just picture perfect, just killing, making all the right decisions and everybody else is making the wrong ones. Like, it doesn't work that way.
It does not. It doesn't.
So,
and there's also no connection and correlation with success. You can't build success or be successful by yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not one person, I believe, that has ever said that they did it by themselves. They have 100%. A team. They got a team because everyone has a different part, a different role to play in your success, whether that be this job or this role, ideas, strategies. You don't have all of it yourself. There's different perspectives, like you've talked about. We see things differently. That's why two minds are better than one. That's why people have teams, right? You cannot do this world. This world isn't doable without somebody else helping you do it. Think about it. We're talking about building, right? And let's talk about construction. Like, let's talk about building houses or commercial sites or whatever the case is. Do you have one person building the whole house?
Right.
It's like it takes the whole team. It takes the whole team to build. And what are you guys doing? You guys are helping each other build something big, right? And so that's what we're built. That's what we're here for. But we're so distracted on life. We're so distracted on what we are lacking in our lives that is jading the purpose of why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing, based on love, to help build each other up in a way that's going to allow us all to be successful, allow us all to eat, so we all can be happy and peaceful. Right. But that's not the way society is set up, and that's why the path is narrow. That's why it's difficult. That's why it's not easy to fulfill our purpose, to find our purpose, even at that. A lot of us don't know what we're supposed to be doing. First of all, it's finding your passions. What are we good at? How can I help somebody else be good at that same thing? There's so many parts, and it's all connected. It all circles back. It all ties in. Just trying to get people to be aware of that is the hard part. We're all going through our distractions. This is why with the release valve, this is why the podcast, and I'm smiling about it, is because when we get off here, we're going to go back to living life, right? Receiving distractions and having to hurdle obstacles, and it's going to happen. But an opportunity to reflect and to decompress and to talk about these things right now, it's that moment of refreshing. It's like, okay, man, the juices are flowing now. That happens after every episode. Like,
again, we're using those muscles, those brain muscles, and thinking about things, analyzing things in ways that we don't normally do in real time, right? Because again, we're so caught up with everything that's going on. So, when we're able to slow things down and have this time to talk about things, it allows us to start working that muscle a little bit, flexing it, so that way when we do get back out there, that muscle's ready to go, and we're viewing things from a different standpoint.
It's like we're warmed up.
From Exactly, and it really is. The brain is a muscle, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So you work it out, you get it warmed up, and again, that's how you start performing better. You got the cognitive functions going, working a little bit better, and you get to again see things from a different perspective, and you start handling things a little different. More often, you're thinking about things from that analytic standpoint and able to handle things better from that point on, or continuously handle things better. And again, the more that we do this, like you said, every time we jump off, the juices are flowing so much, especially when we record at night. It's hard to almost calm down afterwards, because it just feels so good. I feel like, I almost want to wake somebody up just to have a problem so I can handle it. But yeah, man, it just feels good. It feels right. Again, it's like when we say about working out, nobody ever walks out of the gym feeling angry about what they just did. You feel good. And the same thing goes with working your brain muscle like that, man. You think about things, you talk about it, you work it out that way. It just feels good. And going forward, it allows you, again, if you feel good, you're going to act good in that, like we talked about, that aura that you put off. Other people are going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
So that's why this is so important. Again,
Man.
Not just for the sake of just having the moment to talk about things, but it carries forward from that conversation. It really does.
Yeah, man. And those who are listening, don't, like I said, hit us in the DM if you don't want to comment it publicly. But we're not perfect. Far from perfect. None of us are. You know what I'm saying? None of us are perfect, and very far from perfect. Ask us questions. Challenge us. You know what I mean? I'm ready for the feedback. On this path of self-development, it requires learning. And if we're not learning, then we're not growing. And I want to learn. I want to be better.
Right.
I don't want to be angry. I'm still dealing with my own demons, especially when you're dealing with other people that are dealing with demons. You know what I'm saying? It's just right. It's a battle. It's a battle
Right.
out there in the world.
Right.
Trying to be peaceful is definitely a learned skill. You can't. Somebody's coming at you foul and disrespecting you. The chances of you being listen, me, right? It's listen, I know you're dealing with somebody or some things as to why you're coming at me this way, right? I haven't learned that. I haven't built that skill yet. I was at Tyson's game today, and God showed me some new experiences with this organization that we're in. But today was the first time I sat in the stands, and the stands with usually you got one side and you got the opposing side as far as the bleachers. We were all kind of mixed in a little bit. Yep. Right. So I'm listening to other parents talk smack, and I'm like, God, you did not prepare me for this moment. I'm like, I'm having several conversations with myself, and it's you know what? You're not. This is a waste of energy, Kyle. Do not respond to them. You know what I'm do not react how you're reacting. Things got a little crazy, to say the least, bro. Things got a little crazy. It was a quiet gym. There was this kid that Tyson that ended up getting into it with, and it was all cute and fun. But then this kid, he went and reached in, and Tyson put his arm up, and the kid got hit in the mouth because the kid aggressively reached in. And their coach is yeah, ref, he tried to elbow him. And I'm I got up immediately. And I'm is that what happened? And so I'm looking like the tall, angry black guy, you know what I'm saying, trying to defend my son. Even though I felt like I was in the right. If I felt like I was in the wrong, I would have felt that, and I would have expressed that. But, Tyson wasn't in the wrong. He didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't malicious. The other kid was pretty much the instigator. And things got out of control. But I haven't been that riled up, Sean, in a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Sports will do that to you, though.
Man.
Sports will do that to you. There's something about it. For some reason, you get so emotionally attached to it, way more than when you played, right?
It was fighting energy, and I'm oh my goodness, my heart's pounding. My son's out there getting into it. I'm oh man, I haven't experienced this before. It's I'm in the fight. It's it's me. Oh man, I'm having so many conversations with myself though. It ended
Yeah.
up being all good though, but like still, man, I'm like, whoa. I was like, I can't sit in the bleachers. I have to go sit behind. I got to be in the coach's box. Like I'm not ready for this. But yeah, man, we're all dealing with demons. We're all dealing with demons, man, and
At all times too, though. That's the thing.
exactly. It's every day.
They're always there, you know.
Yeah.
And it's important to know that, to recognize that, and understand that, you know, just because. You know, because some people will get caught up in as soon as something good happens, and then something bad will happen. They're like, oh, you know, that's
Right,
of course, right? That's always what happens. Par for the course, exactly. So, you know, it helps to know that, you know, what's the saying? You know, this too shall pass, right? I even got it tattooed on my arm. This too shall pass, and that goes for good things too. But keep that in mind with the negative things. You know what I mean? Like it's all going to come in and go. It's all going to come and go. But it all depends on how you handle it.
Yes.
The good things and the bad times. You know, it's all a matter of how you handle it. And if you're consistent with who you are and how you respond to things, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, because you're going to have a positive response no matter what. You know, even if something, again, I love the example of one of the, there's many examples of the tale of two fathers. You have the one father, the fathers are riding in the car with their son. They blow a tire. The one father gets all angry and bent out of shape. You know, of course, you know, fucking swearing in front of the kid and this and that. You know, he gets out of the car. He has a horrible time changing the tire. Then you have the other dad that just calmly, all right, son, time to learn how to change a tire, you know, and he brings him out with him and shows him everything and how to do it. And it's a great experience. It's a learning experience. Yeah. Two sides. Two sides to everything, man. So, but again, it's all a matter of how you respond to it.
Yeah.
Things are always going to come up.
They're always going to come up.
No matter what. It doesn't matter who you are, what type of life you're living, something is going to come up. And it's just a matter of how you handle it and move past it. Are you either going to learn from it, or you're going to allow it to keep you down and hinder you from being a better person and being able to handle it and move past it?
That is so heavy. And this too shall pass, because like you said, moments come and go. And that got me thinking about how we talked about, you know, before, as far as like having no destination, just milestones. Because once you hit that destination or that milestone, that moment is going to come and it's going to pass. But then what's next? Right. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why it's important to keep growing, to be on a journey of growth, learning, and self-development. So growth is inevitable. Not only that, but we're continuing to reach new milestones. You know, so when we're actively producing, that's what gives us that feel good. You know, when we're sitting down not doing nothing, we're wasting away, and our minds are doing the same. That's why it's important to continue to grow, not focus on a destination, but just focus on little milestones, and then celebrating those little wins too, right?
Exactly.
Like, you know, taking a moment to celebrate those little wins, but with those that you love, building memories and sharing those experiences, because that's ultimately what we talked about. That's all we have. That's where our heart is. You know, having experiences and memories with those that we love. And so it's important for our growth, for our sanity, you know, for our happiness and our peace, is to continue growing and hitting those milestones, being proud of ourselves when we do hit those milestones. But then, all right, now we're working on getting to the next milestone so we can hit that, feel good about that, and then keep hitting that, and keep
that ball rolling,
and keep that ball rolling. You know,
I like that. Celebrating your wins and allowing that time to feel good about it, but not stopping there, not settling there, but definitely recognizing it, man. You know, because again, it's okay to pat yourself on the back every now and then. Yeah. Because, you know, when you're a kid and you play sports and stuff like that, you can get awards, you can get trophies, you know, all that type of stuff. But you know, even in school, you can get recognized for certain things, you know. But a lot of that stops. You know, there's no Parents of the Year award. You know, yeah, exactly. You don't get those recognitions anymore. And again, you know, that goes back to having that type of relationship with your partner too, and having that type of communication. But again, for yourself too, it's so important to be able to say, you know, hey, I did good today. Or as a parent, like, man, I handled that well, and feel good about that type of thing, and carry that forward. like you said, carry that momentum with you going forward and look forward to that next situation that you can feel good about. And that's so
Absolutely.
important, man, because if you're only focusing on the negatives that you have in your life, you're living a negative life, and that's a
Yes.
wasted life if you ask me.
Man, absolutely. We have to focus as individuals. We have to focus more on time, and we have to focus more on the end game. A lot of us don't want to think about death. For me, it's been happening so much that I have to pay attention to it more than ever. I'm
Right.
37. Like I have a client, like I said, that's been a blessing, who's 76. I'm like, okay, well he's 2 times my age, and I'm eventually going to get there, God willing. Like, how do I want these next 40 years to look like?
Right.
He has a fear. He's deeply in love with his wife, as I am mine. But he's older, right? He's had health scares, right? He's like he's like, it kills me. It gives me anxiety, to basically talking about how I don't want to leave my wife here alone, and I don't want my wife to leave me here alone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The thought of us not being together, it kills me, right? It, like, figuratively speaking, obviously, right? It
But
gives
yeah,
him
yeah.
Because he
Right.
had a heart scare. He's like,
Man,
man, like,
I got chills.
man, like I told you, he had a heart scare while we were working out, while we were
Oh
training. I
wow.
was training him, and he was like, he started touching his chest, and I'm like, oh, like what, like, let's stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he went to the hospital, and he said, had he not stopped at that moment, he could have died. Like, I get emotional about it because I'm tight with him now. He's shown me so much life.
You were a part of that, yeah, man.
Yeah,
I already know how
exactly.
you would have carried that with you. I can
Man,
only
like,
imagine.
oh my goodness, right? And so it definitely it held a lot of weight. And for him to say that, it's like, man, yeah. It was like, because I don't want that. The thought of that for me is scary. It's like, I don't want to think about that kind of stuff. And he's 40 years from now. So it's like, what are we doing with our lives now? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that time is going to come. And
Right.
I'm ready to utilize that time. I'm trying to be better, trying to work on my peace, trying to work on connecting, and trying to help others gain that peace back. I mean, gain peace
Right.
as well. I mean, it's a nonstop process, right? Obtaining peace is a practice. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I haven't mastered it yet. I mean, hence today. I flew up to live today on the low.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could have,
Right.
I could have handled it. Maybe I could have handled it a little bit better. Maybe I didn't have to pop off like that. Obviously, I felt good about being a father and defending my son in that moment.
Yep.
His person, because he's not that type of kid to go out and start elbowing
Speak
people.
up and yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I did what I needed to do, but, like, still, like, I didn't need to get as riled up. You know what I mean? I could have handled it a little
For
bit
your
more.
own sake, you didn't need to get as worked up and feel the way that you felt, and maybe deliver it from
Exactly.
that
Letting
point
somebody
of view.
letting
Yeah.
somebody get the best of my emotions, letting somebody bring out the demons in me. Right? I could have been
Right.
better about that,
Right.
And so actively working on that. But like I said, none of us are perfect, but who wants to live a life in misery, anger, frustration, and not peace? Just, you know what I'm saying? Just living in that chaos on a daily basis. I don't like it. it's
Right.
it's not worth it for me. Like, it affects everything. And like you
Well,
talked
exactly.
about coming through the door happy versus upset and not being able to enjoy your kids, invitation because of that. It's
Right.
those type of things that matter.
And again, when you're caught up in those moments and you have those feelings, you're not going to be aware of how the negative effect, most of the time you're not going to be aware of the negative effect that you're having on others. You're not realizing, because again, you're so head down focused on your own problems. Like I said, when you walk in and somebody says, hey, is everything okay, and you say, yeah, I'm fine, you're not seeing them being like, oh geez, and the feelings that they have in response to what you're putting out there. You're just blowing it off, we don't need to talk about it type of thing. So again, not to sound like a broken record, but it's so important to be able to have that type of communication. It's really the only way that you can grow. It's really the only way, and having that type of awareness and making the right moves or making the right decisions, or whatever it is, taking the correct steps, I should say, in order to head in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To start making progress and start having, whether it's communication with somebody or communication with yourself or whatever that it is, just to not be stagnant with it. Like you said, if you're not getting better, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And if you feel like that, just because you're not making moves, that you're not harming anybody, or you're not getting worse, you are putting a negative out there. You need to get better. You need to stay on top of your game. You need to make sure that you're aware of the things that are going on, because people will pass you by. People will leave you where you're at, and that can come with bitterness and resentment, and then you're carrying that with you. And again, life is, like you were saying, life is just so, whether you're in your 70s or you're in your 30s, life is short, because it can stop at any time. And those people in their 70s or 80s or whatever are all saying, they're all looking back and being like, man, I feel like I don't have enough time. I feel like I didn't do it right. I feel like I have more that I need to accomplish. I feel like there's more that I want to say. There's more that I want to do. There's more that I feel like I need to feel. You know what I mean?
Wow, absolutely. And the question is, why do they feel that at 70 or 80 years old? Because when they were our age, they were living in that distraction. We're living in that funk. We're living in that discouragement. We're living in that every day, like, man, poor me, instead of trying to be better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so now we're looking back, and it's like, oh shit. Well, now I'm thinking about the end game, because the end game is here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's
Here's
like,
the end game.
Man, I need to go back, and now I wish I could go back and do it better. You know?
No. That was good.
Right?
That was good. I was like, what the hell is that?
Right? Now I'm wishing that I could go back and do it better. And for another example of that, it's me as a basketball player. To the outside, it seems like I had accomplished a lot. But internally, I feel like I hadn't. And I go back, down memory lane, and it's like, man, had I done this when I was 18, 19, 20, I would have been more a successful basketball player. It's the same song and dance. It's the cliche thought that everyone goes through when they don't put their best effort in life, though. That's why it happens.
True.
When you haven't put your best effort in, you end up going back and having regret that you didn't do so. That's why people always live in hindsight, bro. So
that's deep.
I don't want to be that 30 years from now. I don't want to be like, man, did I do it? Did I do it well enough? Did I do it hard enough? Did I go as hard?
I gave it my all.
Did I give it my all? And
right. And you know what's funny? To touch base real quick, I need to give a shout out to my tattoo artist Jazzy at the JC Studios. That was part of the conversation that we had that led to me reaching out to you and hitting you up and starting that process, that healing process. There was, I didn't give it my all. I didn't do everything that I could to make things better, to make things right.
Wow.
And that was that moment for me of being like, nah, I got to go back and I got to fix that because I still have time. And
I give it? We simplified that. We simplified.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Did I give it my all? Because we can apply that to everything, especially our relationships. Like those of you that are going through hard times and complicated times with your relationship, before you give up, did you give it your all? Did you try everything that you could to make that relationship work? And nowadays, man, relationships like the enemy has got his fingers all up in everything, because relationships and marriage are so untraditional now. We have the dating apps, we have the Tinders and all of that, and it's like everything is a quick meet, and it's like everyone is hooking up so quickly instead of taking the time to learn and understand each other. And for that, relationships aren't being established with purity, you know what I'm saying, or with the real life connections. And that's why people, I feel like, I fear for our generation of our kids, just because of the way how fast the world is going and how fast things are moving. in a way that's dangerous.
I as a parent, I understand what you're saying, but I actually have faith in our kids' generation. It's a generation in between that I feel like it was like, yeah, you guys, you
Maybe
guys are
so.
man,
You know what? And I
struggle
might be able
busting
to
in
agree.
ways that it's just like wow. But our generation,
You
I
know,
feel like
I-
we're doing a pretty good job with
Oh,
those
our
kids
generation for
that are coming
sure.
up.
Our
'Cause
generation. We should put a poll
in-
out. We should pull a poll out about this because I'm interested to hear and see what people are thinking. Because obviously there's going to be a mix of all of it, right?
So a
And
lot
I-
of
and
people
I
are going to
agree
be
with
seeing
what
the
you-
complete opposite of what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I agree with what you said. Like, it made me think. You're not too scared about our kids, and it's more so the generation in between. And I'm thinking about more so like the kids that were birthed into the new age of technology, as far as social media and what everyone is doing on
Right.
social media now. This is like the birth of it, right? And so I think that as things start to develop and continue, I think there are modifications and certain precautions that can be applied to prevent so much of the chaos that's going on social media. And I would love to put a poll on here and to see what people think about how society is developing and where it leads. And that makes me think about AI, artificial intelligence, which is a different topic that we definitely going to have to touch on a different episode, and how that's going to affect society and our generation. But I'm scared for that too.
Oh man, don't even get me. We will have an episode.
We will
on that,
have
'cause
an
I can
episode
get
on
going,
that.
bro. That
Yes.
is. I'm gonna keep myself reeled in for the time being. 'Cause we're just about hitting an hour right now, so I'm gonna keep myself reeled in. But absolutely, I'm right there with
Yes.
you. I have some a lot of thoughts and feelings about AI. But a while back, I did do on Instagram. I did do like a questionnaire type thing. I put it out there. I put a thing out on my stories or on a post every day for a week, allowing people to reach out and ask us questions, whatever
Yeah.
question they want, and we would answer it anonymously on one of the upcoming episodes. So I have a bunch of those questions. I'll write them down, and on that next episode, we can answer a few of them and touch open up about a few things and just release a few and give some people some information about some stuff and open up about
Yeah.
a few things. It was pretty cool. I like some of the questions that were asked. Some of them are kind of silly, but other ones are good. So I'm excited to do that. I want to continue. I like that idea of putting a poll out there. I want to continue to do stuff like that. I love engagement with people that do come on here or that do listen to the podcast, do pay attention to what's going on. I love having that interaction and being able to see where people's minds are at with things, how they view things, and how they view the podcast. Because again, we have a very different view and feel about it on our end of it. And like you said before, not everybody's going to be willing to come on here and talk about some stuff. So yeah, whatever we can do to drive that engagement and keep people interested in what we have going on and allow them to feel like they have a part of this, because this is a podcast for everybody. We've said it a bunch of times, but this is for everybody. I want as many people to get involved in this as possible, because like you said, we can never stop learning, never stop growing, no matter the age, no matter, our size, sex, shape, religion, heritage, whatever it is, male, female, young, old, everything in between. There's something that we can learn. There's a perspective that we have not experienced or seen before that we can take from and benefit
8 billion people. 8 billion of them. You know what I'm saying? Is that how many people are in the world? Or how many people in the world? There's that
Something
many
like
different
that, man.
perspectives.
So
You know what I'm saying? It's something you can take from everyone.
yeah, so if there's anything else that other people that can think of that would be an idea for us to do, or different things that we can put out there that would help drive engagement or to help them feel involved in it in any way, let us know. Like you said, Kyle, hit up our DMs, slide in the DMs.
Yeah, slide in the DMs. Yo, like I said, man, it's crazy when you think about these things, but it all ties in. It all circles back. We can't grow without the help of everyone else trying to grow themselves, trying to help us grow. Help us get better.
Right.
Help us help.
Right.
Help us help you. It's one of those situations. You know, like we all need help. We all need to build each other up. You know, and that's the best way and the fastest way to success. You know, individual growth and collective growth, man. So proud to be back on here. Grateful to be back on here. Gordon, God gets all the glory, and to just stimulate in my mind and just being like, man, it's time to get back on here. There's too much going on in the world not to be talking about this kind of stuff.
Right.
And this platform is inevitable, right? We talked about how it's for everyone, and it is. There's nothing. There's not one story or one person that couldn't benefit from getting their story out there or getting things off their chest. Like
100%.
This process or this podcast is amazing, and there's other ones out there doing it too. Hoping to collab with other people, but more so just interested in hearing what everyone else is going through, so we can have more perspective, so we can learn. You know, you can learn from everyone, like we talked about, right? So, man.
That's it.
So, a couple.
All
of
right, my
things.
brother.
Yeah,
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate being able to do this with you and being able to come on and open up and release. And I appreciate everybody that's listening and that is able to take away something from it. If not, just enjoy Kyle and I opening up about the things that we have going on, man. I just have so much gratitude and appreciation for everything that surrounds this podcast. So
we're coming back, people. Coming back stronger with the vengeance. You know, It's us against the world, right? It's obvious that, you know, there's going to be some people that can't be reached. And for that, you know, I'm going to pray about it. But like, for those, I mean, we're just trying to reach one person. It's one person at a time. I mean, if you guys can get something out of it, that's all we really cared about. And that's what other people should only care about as well, as far as getting their passions and their voice out there, instead of fearing what other people are going to say about it. It's just approaching it with the thought process of trying to help somebody else get better, and that's what we're here for.
That's it. Let's wrap it up. Until next time. Thanks, everybody.
Next time.